Hi, everybody. This is Don Holling again with the Prep Girls Hoops Network here in Illinois. And I have Jacob Wohlwend with us, and we are getting ready to go for our third in the series of our little podcast, vlog, whatever you want to call it here. Just a couple of quick housekeeping notes before I turn it over to Jacob to get started. If you would, please, again, I want to keep asking when you watch these videos, if you would like the video when you get done watching it. Also, if you would hit the subscribe button, just kind of helps us that if at some point in time in this, when this day and age is over, we decide to go with a full-fledged normal podcast and we need to prove to advertisers or other folks that we have an audience, it helps to have those subscribers and those likes on those videos. So if you could take a second to do that, we greatly appreciate it. With that, we're going to go with the same kind of format as normal. When the 2023 rankings came out, Jacob wrote an article about the top 10. So I'm going to turn it over to him to go through that article in his second one. So Jacob, with that, here we go. Go ahead and get started on your articles.
All right, good stuff. And yeah, a little bit differently for this, just because the class of 2023 rankings are new to our site. I'm going to go in a little more specifically on the top 10 players here, just to kind of give some more insight on attributes and how the freshman seasons went. And then starting at the top, if you haven't seen, Jordan Wood, 6'4" forward out of Carmel. Jordan, very tall, very lengthy, athletic, can be successful at all areas of the court. I call her a forward. She could play at the guard position as well, off the ball. She can handle it when she needs to, but she just wasn't the primary ball handler for Carmel this year. She can get tough shots off with her length. She's quick. She can stay in front of most guards defensively. And then, of course, down in the post with that length, she's just always altering shots and causing ruckus down there. Jordan has a handful of Power 5 offers already as well. And moving to number 2 is Katie Idle out of Hersey. Katie is a 5'11" guard. She can play on or off the ball. She can handle it really well. She's quick. She's shifty. Going into this season, I found her intriguing just because I knew she could shoot and I knew she would be at the top of the list. I just didn't know where. But then as the season went on, she was putting up 20, 25 points in multiple games. She was scoring down low, mid-range by 3. She picked up a few offers as the season went on. So number 2 spot I thought was a good spot for Katie. And then actually within the last week or two, she picked up an offer from DePaul to add to a couple already. So a great start early on for Katie. Number 3, her AAU teammate with the Wolverinas is Emily Fisher out of Libertyville. Emily is a 5'11" guard. She can play down low a little bit. She's very strong. She has a really good post game, very good touch down low. She was out for the first half or so of the season with an injury. She says she's back to 100% now. Like I said, she can kind of play the 1 through 4 just with different abilities that she has. And then, like Katie Idle, she has a handful of Power 5 offers as well. I believe Iowa State and Nebraska to be among those. Number 4, a player that I didn't know about going into the season, but I was very, very impressed by, is Lisa Thompson out of Joliet West. Lisa is a 5'8" guard, super athletic combo guard. She can play off the ball, very good with the ball in her hands, though. She's quick, she's elusive, she can get in the lane with ease. Really, she can put on a highlight tape every game just with how well she finishes and how quick she is at getting to the hoop. And then, of course, she can also knock down shots as well. And then rounding out the top 5, someone I did know about was Janae Kent. Janae was a 6-foot point guard at Oak Forest. Tall, strong. She can handle the ball very well. She's used to that, playing with her AAU team, being the lead guard. Has a very good down low game, though. I was kind of impressed with how she could post up smaller defenders, her mid-range, her turnaround game, plays well with her back to the basket if she needs to. But again, very quick. She can get into the lane. She can knock down shots. Just a very well-rounded game for Janae. And then moving to the 6th spot, Skylar Jones, Whitney Young. Skylar is a 5'9" guard. Again, she can play on or off the ball. There at Whitney Young, she had Kayla Green. She had Tamia Ware kind of as the 2 main guards. So Skylar didn't have to handle the ball as much this year, but definitely look for that as Kayla Green moves on to Texas A&M next year. So Skylar is lengthy. She's skilled. She can shoot it. She can play usually the 2 or 3, like I said, but then she does a really nice job of attacking from the wing. She uses her athleticism, her quick hands. On defense, she comes away with several steals a game and kind of pushes the ball in transition and gets several points that way. Number 7, Brianna Hill out of Marian Catholic. I heard a lot about Brianna this year just with people being impressed how polished her game was so early on. She's very electric, not just for her class, but one of the top electric players in the Chicagoland area. She's tough. She plays under control. She kind of has a mature style of game to her. Lightning quick. She can make an impact on both ends of the floor with her size, her athleticism, and then she can shoot the ball as well. Number 8, Taylor Curry out of Waubonsie Valley, 5'8" guard. Taylor is very strong. She can play the 1 through 3, very good from the wing at attacking the basket. That's kind of how she thrives. She does have a very good jump shot, but in transition and taking the ball from the wing, quick first step, gets the defender off balance, and then defensively, great awareness. Even if you just flip on her Twitter page and go to her highlight reel, lots of steals, quick hands, know where the ball is going to be, and then she pushes the ball in transition as well, uses her strength to finish at the hoop. In the number 9 spot, we have Ayanna Jackson out of De La Salle. 6 foot forward. I call her a forward. She can play from the wing also. Very strong, very athletic, good size. Makes an impact on the post and out on the wing with that. Savvy post game. She knows a good variety of post moves. She knows how to get open looks there, how to get her defenders looking one way and then go the other. And then she can stretch the floor. She can handle the ball. She can drive. She can knock down jumpers and then defend as well. Just with that size, with that strength, she's pretty tough to guard there in the post. And rounding out in the top 10, Sophie Swanson out of Barrington, 5'10" guard. Sophie, I knew, kind of like Katie Idle, I knew she would fall somewhere in this list. I didn't know much other than that she was a really good shooter, which she showed her high school season. But then she ended up being a very, very good at attacking the lane. She was very good in transition. She didn't have to play the point much, but she did. She can handle the ball really well, uses her shooting to her advantage to kind of get her defenders thinking she's going to pull up from 3, but then drive right past them and finish in the lane. So that rounds out our top 10. And with this class of 2023, they're just incredibly competitive, incredibly talented, very deep. A lot of players can be moving in and out of that top 10 as the AAU season gets started up, hopefully later this summer or even throughout these players' sophomore years. And so the second article I'm going to talk about here today, I posted yesterday, just some guards in this class of 2023, most of them in that 10 to or 11, I guess, to 25 range. And that begins with Jasmine Brown, who from Joliet Catholic, who's at number 11. Jasmine holds multiple Power 5 offers. She is a fantastic guard. She could definitely be in the top 10 of this ranking. This is just how it felt this time. But she's electric. She's a dynamic athlete. She can play on or off the ball. At 5'8", she's strong. She also kind of has that mature style of game where she doesn't get ahead of herself. She knows where she needs to be and makes the right play. And then she can shoot. She can hit it off the bounce. She can spot up. Just a very, very impressive skill set for Jasmine at the number 11 spot. Moving down just one spot to number 12 is Lene Beaumont from Bennett Academy. And then Bennett, with just being how incredibly deep and incredibly talented they are. Lene played just a reserve role on the bench for her freshman season, maybe even got some JV minutes from time to time just to keep her game fresh. But last AAU season is when I first saw Lene play with Chicago Power, and she's going to be with M14 Hoops when we resume this summer. But very poised, very talented combo guard. She can handle it really well. When you did see her play with Bennett at the varsity, she would knock down threes. She's a really, really good shooter from all areas of the court. And then she just knows how to make plays. She's very smart. She knows what play needs to be made for the team to have success. She's definitely not selfish, and she's learned that just by playing with her Power team and now Bennett Academy. Next, we have down in 13, so we're just keep moving down the list right now. Asia Newsom-Cole out of Lincoln Way Central and Lady Mean Street. She's strong. She's quick with the ball. She's 5'7" guard. She can play on or off. Makes it tough for defenders to stop just one-on-one. It's because how elusive she is and how good of a one-on-one player she is, especially from the wing. She can create herself. She can improvise. Good finisher at the hoop, and then a smooth shot from deep. And just one below her, most people know Ava Galuza out of Lincoln Way West, playing on a team with her 2 older sisters, of course, Brianna Woldridge, very good Lincoln Way West team that had a great season this year. Ava had one of the most impressive freshman seasons. She knocked down 115 threes this year and shot 47.5% from deep, which is just incredible for anybody, let alone a freshman. And what I was actually really impressed with, I knew she could shoot early on, but as the season went on, when you saw this at the state tournament, her ball handling and her finishing at the rim really improved, something that kind of caught, I think, teams by surprise there at the end of the season. So definitely look for Ava to be making a big impact here coming up. All right, moving down to now we're at the 15th spot with Aaron Henry out of Plainfield North and Example Sports. Just another part of that Example Sports team in this 2023 class is just so impressive. She's a lead guard. She's mainly a ball handler. She's super crafty, super shifty with the ball. And what I really liked, I just actually watched her tape yesterday, just from last AAU season. She's so tough, and she is a hustle player. She's always going after offensive rebounds. She's diving on loose balls, and she just makes plays. She just makes plays on both ends of the floor. Really another team player that, again, contributes to the Example Sports success. And just below that, a team or a player and a team that had kind of a surprising freshman year in the number 17 spot for us is Aspen Weeks out of Aurora Christian. Aurora Christian in 1A had a great year. Anna Griffin, Thea Luce made it down to state this year, taking fourth. And Aspen was the lead ball handler for them. Really electric point guard. She can score from the wing. She has a quick first step, a variety of moves that she uses to kind of set up her defenders so she can blow past them. And then she just knows what to do. Once she gets to that second level, she knows what plays she needs to do, how to move her body to get open looks, and then she can shoot as well. And then moving down a little bit on the list here to the 23rd spot is Lexi Salazar out of Montini Catholic. And kind of like Bennett, Montini obviously very good, very deep bench. Lexi played in a reserve role with them, but she's a 5'6" guard. She can play point. She can play the two spot as well. And when she plays from the point, she does a nice job of breaking down her defender. She's one of those shoot off the dribble, kind of like Lindsey Hahn from Lyons Township in the class of 2021 that I talked about. A nice job of kind of sizing up her defender and then deciding whether to pull the trigger or drive past her. She can do both very well. And then she shoots it well off the bounce, which is really impressive, something like Lindsay does as well. So I kind of compare Lexi to her right now. And then just two more here in the guards here for 2023. Down in the 26th spot is Cora Kipley out of Buffalo Grove. She is another Wolverina. She's a 5'7" guard, mostly off the ball. She can play on ball. She is well-rounded, but mostly off the ball because Buffalo Grove has a pretty good point guard as well. But a good jumper. She's a lefty. She can beat her defender off the dribble. She's got good length, even though she is just 5'7", kind of a medium height, but very good length, very physical. She can guard bigger players on defense, and then she can make an impact in the lane as well. And kind of like Aaron Henry, Cora is what I noticed a big-time hustle player as well. She's grinding it out constantly, getting in a lot of minutes, and always just making those hustle plays late in the game, rebounding well on both ends, diving on loose balls, that sort of thing. So definitely wanted to recognize Cora. And lastly, just one more here, another Example Sports guard, Morgan McDermott out of Beecher. She falls in the 30th spot right now, someone that could definitely rise after another good AAU season. She's a 5'9" combo guard, usually plays off the ball, so she can handle it a little bit. Very athletic, very skilled wing. She can score at all levels, a very good jump shot, very high arching shot to get it over most defenders. And then I watched her video too yesterday, and she does a really good job of making plays in the lane and making smart decisions. Very good passer once she drives usually baseline. She either spots up for that shot or drives past her defender. She can find open posts in the lane, or she can kind of creatively finish around the rim, reverse layups, that sort of thing. So definitely look more from Morgan here coming forward. And Don, I'll kick it back to you. That is what I have for a few class of 2023 guards.
Awesome. Thanks. Just like I did the last class, really I wrote two articles and they were just kind of split into sort of front court, back court. So I'm going to go over the first article that I wrote, which was kind of our front court players, forwards, centers. And the first player that we talked about is at number 24, and that is Emily Conkle, and she's from T-Town, Teutopolis. She's a real long wing player, very reliable scorer from inside the arc at this point. Still working on the outside shot a little bit, improving that area. But for a tall wing at this at this age, she has good ball handling skills. Does a really good job of passing and scoring, playing defense, a little bit of everything. She played very much in a reserve role last year for T-Town, but they did lose a couple of seniors, so I expect her to have a little bit bigger role next year and really see what she can do for them. The next one is Alicia Triplett at number 29. She's from Charleston. She had a kind of a interesting freshman year in the fact that she came in and playing alongside in sort of a second fiddle role to Shea Littlefleur, who's one of our top 10 2021s. But Shea unfortunately went down with a knee injury at one point during the season and came back right at the end. So Alicia took a much bigger role during that time. She's got a very much a D1 type body, strong and athletic. She's excellent inside at 5'11", but she also plays a lot out on the wing. She's really best in the open floor using that athleticism. So she really kind of became that go-to player during that time when Littlefleur was down. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how they mesh together next year. The next person I have mentioned is at number 40. That's Kylie Kinzer, a player that most people even around the South area don't probably know a lot about. She is from Carrollton. She's about a 6 foot, maybe a little bit bigger forward. Probably a 4, I guess, is really what she'd be described at. She shows signs of being able to do a little bit of everything. She can play inside, she can play outside. She's really kind of a dual threat. She runs the floor fairly well for a girl her size. She had some seniors that were leaders on that team, and a junior post in Ava Eulis who took a lot of pressure off her. So she was kind of a complimentary player, but really showed some signs of brilliance at different times, putting up some big games in key situations. So another player who's really going to see what she's made of next year as a sophomore when she becomes more of a go-to type player. At number 47, the next one on my list, Sophia Loden from Mascoutah. Sophia is a 5'11" and wing type player. Like a lot of kids, similar to the stories that we told last week and through our interview with the top players in each class. She's one of those girls that was taller when she was younger, so got stuck in the post. They saw her dad, and he's real tall, so they think she's a post player. But where she's really developing and really turning into a kid that should be watched is the fact that she's putting a ton of time into developing her ball handling and her shooting. She's got a high motor. She's the kind of kid that is a little bit undersized at 5'11", but goes in and gets 7 or 8 rebounds a game and leads the team in rebounding. She's, as I mentioned, she's a tireless worker. People who have followed me know that I spent some time at different workouts with some different trainers last fall. It was pretty amazing. It didn't matter where Coach Ruckman from Dave Ruckman Academy, it didn't matter where he was having a training session. Could be in Breeze, could be in Belleville, could be just about anywhere. And I would show up, and maybe there was a team from another school. There was Sophie at that workout, trying to get in extra time no matter who was there. So she's really developing her game. I think somebody that's got a bright future. Number 51 is Addie Wright. Addie is a 6 foot post from Oakwood. Again, another one that runs the floor well for someone her size. She's very much a plus rebounder and defender at this time in her career. I didn't mention the AAU teams with a couple of the other girls. Addie plays with the Indiana Elite Havoc, the old Indiana Flight West program. She can finish inside with either hand, becoming a consistent shooter in that mid-range, which is really helping to develop her game. Big thing is, she got a very good body and frame that I think a lot of college coaches will kind of see and maybe catch their attention, get her an opportunity to see what she can do and show what she can do, 52 right behind her is Kendra Young. She's a 6 foot wing from Paris. A lot of people may be familiar with Paris's program. They were number 1 and undefeated for a long time this past season before they unfortunately lost in the tournament. Kendra's a girl that came off of the bench for them and provided some spark when she came in. Same thing as they lose a lot of players in that 2020 class. She's going to have to step up next year. She's a real good shooter at this point. That's probably her number 1 attribute. She's got some good deep range, and that length really helps her get shots off against smaller players, even when they're up in on her. Where she's really developing is her game off the bounce and in the mid-range. But we'll, again, definitely see what she can do next year as she steps into a more vital role for Paris. And Kendra also plays for the Indiana Elite Havoc. Another Indiana Elite Havoc player at 55, Riley Riggs. She's a 6'3" post from Mount Carmel. Obviously great size at 6'3", nice frame. Good length that allows her to be effective, especially on defense at this point. Very good shot blocker. She can finish with both hands inside the lane, but I think at this point the offensive game is kind of something that she's developing most. But again, at 6'3", she's definitely got a future in the game. At number 56, Savannah Orgeron, she's a 5'11" forward from Mohammed Seymour. She's has good strength at 5'11" that allows her to get inside and play with taller players, but you can see her skill really developing. By the end of the season, she's probably the best three-point shooter on her high school team. So she can really step away and play outside too. Passes the ball well, sees the floor well. Definitely a good fundamental player. She was at 56. At 57 is Audrey Sable. She is a 6-foot post player from Nokomis, a small town down here in southern Illinois. Audrey is a big, strong post player. Played on a team that had some good success at the middle school level, and a lot of those girls stepped in and were forced to play some big minutes for Nokomis in their freshman year. And you could really see she's got a good feel for scoring in the post. She's finishes well around the rim with both hands, good rebounder. Not extremely athletic at this point, so a lot of her rebounds are kind of in her own area, but she boxes out well, is a real strong girl. A lot of athletic ability through that Sable family chain in that area, so she's got has good roots and good genes. I think she's someone that will continue to develop. And the last one in my front court article, at number 60, Kaylin Williams. Kaylin is a 5'8" forward from the Tri-County Shiloh team that's been at state the last couple of years. She was as a freshman, was someone that came off the bench and provided some minutes here and there for them. She reminds me a little bit of another player who we've talked about it on that team, Bella Dudley. She's about 5'8", very strong. Initially, much her skill set is probably better inside as an undersized player, that she uses her strength to get off good shots and score around the rim and rebound. And as she continues to develop that skill and be able to move away from the basket, handle the ball, score off the bounce like Bella has done, I think Kaylin potentially has a nice future there. So that was my front court article. I will jump into my back court article. Both of these were posted yesterday. Actually, the front court early in the morning, and the back court later on at night, if you haven't seen those yet. First player that we'll talk about is Shannon Dowell. She is a 5'9" guard out of O'Fallon High School. Shannon stepped in and started right away for O'Fallon. It was a 4A program that made all the way to the super sectionals and lost to Lincoln Way West this year. Shannon is very long, athletic guard. She excels in the open court. She plays for the Bradbeal Elite team over in St. Louis. Has the potential to really be a top flight defender with her skill, athleticism, and long arms and legs. She's can get into the lane and score. Outside shot is kind of developing at this point, but definitely shows a lot of upside with that frame and build and skill and athleticism that she has. Next player that we'll talk about is Jayla Pelly. Jayla is in at number 36. She is also a long athletic guard. She's out of East St. Louis. Also plays for the Bradbeal Elite team over in St. Louis. Stepped in right away and is a starter at East St. Louis. Also as a kid that played on a very successful middle school program. So, is used to kind of a big game atmosphere. She's, again, also excels in that fast-paced game. East St. Louis likes to get up and down the floor, and that's where she's best, running, jumping, pressing, trapping, getting steals, scoring off the fast break. She uses her length very well. The rest of her offensive game sort of in the half court is still developing, but, again, the kind of kid that's going to show a ton of upside with that build. The next player that we're going to jump in is actually her teammate, and is just one step behind her at number 37, Shakara McClune. She is a smaller guard, about 5'5", that also, first day comes in as a starter at East St. Louis with new coach Sharday Butler, and her and Jayla are definitely the sort of the future of that program. She's also very quick, fast, does a good job in the open floor. handles the ball fairly well, was their leading scorer this year at 13.5 a game. And I think those two are going to cause a lot of problems for Southwest Conference teams. And, being a 3A school, they may be able to, cause some havoc there over the next couple of years. Moving on to my next player, again, just one step back at number 38, Kaylee Nieberge from another one from T-Town. People may be familiar with her older sister. Lexi's had a good career there the last couple of years, is going into her senior year. Kaylee's a real fundamentally sound player, do a lot of different things on the floor, defends very well, rebounds well. You can kind of score inside and out. There's not one area of her game that flashes brilliance at this point, as much as just a very well-rounded player that can do a little bit of everything. Comes from an excellent program there where Coach Thompson really trains the kids well there and gets them fundamentally sound. Didn't play a lot her freshman year, but is another one, as I mentioned, with Conkle, Kaylee will probably step in and get more minutes as a sophomore and really show where she stands or what she can do. The next player that we move down to is at number 44. That is Layla Jackson. She is a 5'6" guard out of Belleville East, and also another player who steps in and starts right away at a guard position in the Southwest Conference in a 4A school. Kind of gets indoctrinated, thrown to the wolves immediately. Layla also comes from the Brad Beal Elite program. She's a scoring point guard. I'll use a phrase that I'm stealing from Jacob that he used last week a couple of times. She's got in the gym range. Layla will shock you. She will be coming up the floor, and her defender thinks that she's ready to guard her, starting at the top of the key, and Layla will pull up and drain it from deep and just kind of shock them that first time that she does it. And then when they get up on her, she's got good strength in her lower half, handles it well enough that she's going to get in the lane and be able to score. She's pretty crafty about it, finds ways to create space and create scoring opportunities. So she's someone to kind of watch as we move forward. The next one, moving into just one step down at number 45, another player out of Paris and that Indiana Elite Havoc program, Trinity Tingley. Trinity is a 5'5" point guard. Trinity is just exactly what you would expect and want in a point guard. She's she's sort of the definition of it. Handles the ball well, plays good defense, really understands the game. Her dad's the head coach there at Paris and also helps with the Indiana Elite Havoc. So she has a very good understanding of what the coaches are looking for, and she can execute it. She pushes the ball up the floor well, real hard worker, shows the ability to score the ball well and defends it well. So definitely a school looking for a true point guard similar to Jenna Gates that they had last year. That's the sort of the ilk that Trinity comes from also. Next player moving down to number 49, Haley Ottenschneider she's a 5'6" guard from Breeze Central. Haley was up at the top 250 last year and got an opportunity to show a little bit about her game. She's has very good skill offensively, good shooter, very strong. It's kind of neat to watch her sometimes because she's very comfortable being in the lane. Even though she's extremely undersized sometimes to be playing around in there, she does a very good job of using her handles and using her pivot foot and kind of just sort of finds a way to get a clean shot against against a bunch of much bigger girls. And when she does it, she can, get herself to the foul line and score that way. But she really uses all of that skill and her patience in the lane to score very well. And because of it, she's also a very good rebounder for a 5'6" guard. So let's see. She had a couple of big games this year for Breeze. They pulled an upset over Highland, who obviously went to the Supers in 3A. Breeze Central is a 2A team, and Haley had 30 points in that overtime win. So she can definitely put the ball in the basket. Moving down just one spot to number 50, and that is Kylie Kisgan. She is a 5'7" point guard out of Freeburg. Kylie also plays with the Southwest Illinois Jets. She is a point guard that also can score for you. She came in and showed right away that she could play with another ball handler. Haley Kimes was a senior point guard for Freeburg who was starting. But Kylie started to show very early in the season that she could come in and sort of split time with another point guard and handle it a little bit and score a little bit more than maybe what was expected. Her first 2 games of the season, when a lot of people weren't expecting a lot out of her, she had 11 in the first game and 19 in her second game, just kind of blew up right away. Ended up averaging a little bit less than 8 points per game for the season. Did a really good job of getting to the free throw line. For a kid that's coming off the bench, she got to the free throw line 100 times, hit 70% of them. So, really did a good job there. She's a good ball handler and should step right into that starting point guard next year for Freeburg, who's going to have a lot of time, a lot of young talent back. Be interesting to see how they do and where Kylie can go from here. And then my last 2 players are back-to-back 53 and 54. Kind of talk about them together because they're both Oakville girls. Megan Renegarby is a 5'8" guard, and Briley Rhodes is a 5'2" guard. Megan's real long and thin, very smooth, kind of girl that sometimes you're looking at her and just seems like she's sort of gliding on the floor. You wonder if she's even moving or putting in any effort because she's just so smooth with what she does. She's very good in the mid-range, seems to get in the lane very well and find the areas to get off shots, and handles it a little bit, could play some defense, uses her long arms and her long frame to be successful in that way. As she fills out a little bit and also develops her game behind the three-point arc, I think Megan has a pretty good future. And Briley is 5'2", stronger, a little bit more compact. At this point, probably the best thing about Briley's game is her shooting outside the arc. She she shot about 37% from the 3-point line this year as a freshman, led the team in scoring, came out in their very first tournament. Again, a lot of people might not have known who she was. They play in the Nashville tournament early in the season and hits double figures a couple times and makes the all-tourney team and just kind of immediately announces her presence with authority, as they say, by hitting some deep outside shots and really showing her ability to score. At 5'2", it's going to, Briley's obviously got to develop some other parts of her game to go along with her shooting, find ways to score in that mid-range. And, I don't know much about her family. Hopefully there's some room to grow there, but both of those girls form a great young nucleus when you're starting 2 freshman guards from day one, even at a 1A school. That's, that shows a bright future. And then obviously they've got Sydney Tebby, who's a post player that I talked about in the 2022 class that provides Oakville a great future over these next few years. They'll be fun to watch. So those were my 2 articles. I get to turn it back to Jacob now for his open area and move on with his.
All right. Thank you, Don. And what I'm going to do this time, I'm just with the class of 2023, our rankings aren't as deep as with the other class. So I'm just going to go through the rest of the rankings and kind of just pick out a handful of players that I'm going to talk about today. And then I'll actually write an article about them next week as well. And then definitely we'll be writing about the rest of the 2023s later on this spring and summer, just because I mentioned how incredibly deep and talented this class is. So definitely be sure to hit on them at some point this spring or summer. But for now, I wanted to start at number 16 with Casey Urlacher out of Fremd. She was at the top 250 as well, and she just stood out as a long and athletic, kind of like a typical stretch 4, very smooth in the post, she's strong. And then defensively, I remember her making a difference as well, being able to guard most 4 or 5s and having some success against them. Moving down a bit to number 21 is Giselle Young out of Kenwood. Kenwood had a great year, and Giselle was usually starting at the 5 for them. If she didn't start, she played a ton of minutes. 5'11", very strong post, good experience, playing a good schedule for Kenwood, and then making a deep playoff run and just playing alongside so many talented players for Kenwood. And a great rebounder, great post defender. She did a lot of good stuff at the 5 for them this year. Next is down at number 27 is Grace Kepke out of Vernon Hills. We have her listed at 6'2". She has maybe even grown since then. She might be even closer to 6'4" after her freshman season. Usually playing in the post, very athletic, very long, very lengthy. And then defensively, she just makes such a difference with her long arms. Very hard to get shots off against her. Offensively, she moves well without the ball. She knows how to get herself open so that other guards can find her. And then good touch at the rim. Next is number 31, Cassidy Arney out of Geneva. Geneva, of course, very great program, a lot of talent. Cassidy made a difference her freshman year. I remember watching her, I believe, at Bennett. She had a great game, I think 14 points, just scoring all over the place. We have her as about 6 foot right now. Very good guard. She can play out on the perimeter. She can hit shots. And then she can also step inside, use her height, use her strength to contribute down there as well. Moving down just a couple spots to 33 is Evan Carrier out of Sycamore. Sycamore we've talked about before with the Fairback sisters. Evan had a really good freshman year in the post. She's 6'4", mostly just a center spot. She has good touch around the rim. She's strong. She can play defense on most post players. And then working on that touch, working on that mid-range game as well to kind of expand out of the paint a little bit for her. Moving down just one spot into 34 is Mia Moore out of Oswego. A point guard, about 5'8", very quick, very fast. She's strong, kind of like Elena Wells out of Burlington Central. I would compare her game to. Maybe not as pull up with the threes as much as Elena. Elena's such an electric shooter. Mia is more of the inside scorer. She'll take you off the bounce. She can definitely shoot. Just her game is more right now getting defenders, driving past them, and then making plays in the lane. One more spot down at 35 is Natasha Barnes out of Lindblom. First saw Natasha play with Midwest Elite last year and was impressed. Had a good season on a good Lindblom team, contributing usually off the bench, but she would find herself, I think, in the starting lineup a few times with them. Off the ball guard, she's about 5'9". She's strong as well. She can drive. Very good shooter. Very impressed with how her shot developed from AAU season to even the high school season. Just a couple more here. The last, I mentioned Grace Kepke. Lexi Kirstein is the last Wolverina I'll name today. And I actually didn't mention that Sophie Swanson is going to be joining them as well on number 10. So if you get a chance to see the Wolverinas play when AAU season resumes, make sure you watch them. Loaded with class of 2023 players. Lexi is at Deerfield. Great season shooting the ball. She's a combo guard. She does well from the point. She's quick. She gets in the lane pretty easily, and then she can finish at the hoop to go alongside that outside shot that she, I believe, advanced pretty far in the three-point shootout this season as well as a freshman. So a good season out of Lexi. And lastly here, two more spots down out of LaSalle, Peru is Brooklyn Fisek. Brooklyn is a 5'4" combo guard. She played the point, I think, a lot at the top 250 elite shooter. Very, very, very good shooter from the point guard position. So she can play that combo role as well if it's needed. She's quick. She's a really good on-ball defender, constantly disrupting and sticking with opposing point guards. So great first freshman season out of Brooklyn. Wanted to make sure I brought her up today as well. And that's all I have. Don, I will kick it back to you for your open period as well.
Awesome. Thank you. I do just have a few girls that could have definitely made my articles, but in the end, there's only so many that you can put in there. So I wanted to save a few for my open period. So there's 4 girls that are in our rankings that weren't in my articles that I wanted to hit on real quick from Southern Illinois, and then a few girls that didn't quite make it, but were girls that I heard about that I wanted to at least get their name out there. So starting with number 48, Gracie Heckert. She is another Beecher girl, second one that we mentioned in this class, and also another Indiana Elite Havoc girl. 5'9" guard, off guard, real dependable 3-point shot at this point. Good vision on the court. She's doing a pretty good job of getting to the rim too. So she's definitely a scorer. Possibly the most exciting thing about Grace is there's some more height in her family. So even at a 5'9" guard, which is a pretty good size for a guard, especially at smaller college, she looks like she maybe has some room to grow, which should then really maybe kind of catch some eyes in addition to her offensive talent. Moving on to the next person, number 58, that is Anna Byers. Anna is a 5'6" guard out of Pana. She's a girl that we've talked about Pana before with Jillian Hamilton and Rachel Holthouse. Rachel is a 2022 girl that's very much a pure point guard. So Anna, as a freshman, initially wasn't really figuring into the varsity this last year. They started to realize that there are definitely some things that she could do for the team. So they found a way to get her on the floor the last half of the year. Very athletic girl. A lot of kids coming in as freshmen are not very aggressive. They kind of want to sit back and play a role that you just participate when they're needed to, or when when it's wide open. But talking to Coach Jason Storm, he was most impressive with how she just sticks her nose in and goes after it, attacks the rim, handles it well. Plays like a veteran and plays like a girl who's not afraid of anything. The next girl I want to mention is at number 59, right behind Anna. She is also a 5'6" guard. That's Jordan Gary. Jordan is out of Collinsville. Came in and saw some minutes, in their senior laden team this last year. Very athletic girl. Jordan's future is most likely in soccer. She was selected for a USA team that was supposed to go over to England, and unfortunately, literally right when the lockdown started to happen from COVID-19 is when those all came out, and Jordan was ready to go to England and play some soccer, and it got shut down. But so her future might not be in basketball, but she's still the kind of girl that's probably going to turn some heads on the basketball floor because of that athleticism. Obviously, as an elite soccer player, she's got good footwork. She's got quick feet. She showed some ability to play in the open court very well coming off the bench for Collinsville, and I would suspect that she's probably got to step into a starting role next year with the amount of senior talent that they lost. So she's one to watch. Last but not least on the rankings was I believe the last girl on our rankings, number 61, a 5'7" guard out of Hillsborough, Lane Rupert. And Laney is fun to watch. She's very thin, came off the bench last year. Again, as a freshman, kind of undersized like that, you don't know what to expect. But she stuck her nose in there. So when she gets the ball, she'll go to the rim hard. She's a good scorer in the mid range at this point in her career, and really provide some good help for that Hilltoppers team who went to state the year before and lost a huge senior class. So they were looking to find some scoring. And she did a good job coming off the bench and providing it. I expect her to take an even bigger role next year as they lost a couple of more seniors this year. And then, as I mentioned, there are a couple of girls that I want to mention that are not on the rankings, but just names that I know that are out there in Southern Illinois that had some success that I at least want to give them a shout out. Annie Frost out of Effingham. She's kind of an undersized post, about 5'9", 5'10", but had a good freshman year and really contributed well to the team, both offensively and on the glass. So she's one to keep an eye on. Durbin Thomas, we talked about Savannah Orgeron from Muhammad Seymour. Durbin started and played a lot at the guard position for them this year. Still in about 5'3", but looks like someone who's going to be able to have a good career there, and someone that should be watched. Does a good job handling the ball and scoring the ball. And then last but not least, wanted to mention Sarah Finley out of the Tri-City Sangamon Valley team. There are probably a lot of people who are familiar with Ashlyn Sturdy, who was an outstanding All-State player for them these last couple of years. Sarah's a 6'1" post that came in and started this year for them. Provided some good rebounding, showed some skill to score in the lane. Obviously that, as I said, the team is kind of carried by other players, and so Sarah was able to come in and just develop throughout the season as they played some teams who were maybe a little bit mismatched. Sarah got some opportunities to, maybe do more than what she did in games against some of the other tough teams in that area, like Pleasant Plains and such. So she developed a lot this year, and they're going to look for her to do a lot more next year. So I wanted to bring up her name. So those were the only other names that I wanted to mention today. I guess before we close her down, Jacob, is there anything that you forgot about or wanted to mention before we're done?
Yeah, I did just want to mention something. Starting next Sunday, so not tomorrow, but April 26th, I'm going to be doing what I'm going to call a recruiting notebook article on the website, where I'm just going to talk about different offers, different visits, different commitments that were made the previous week. So just roughly maybe Monday to Sunday type of thing. And I believe we'll be talking about it a little bit on our video series that we're going to continue as well. But just, I see a lot coming across on Twitter in terms of people getting offers and committing. But feel free to tag me. Feel free to send me anything on Twitter at prephoopsjacob directly. Feel free to email me, prephoopsjacob@gmail.com, just so I can include it in the article, just for college coaches, so they know who's getting what offers, for different followers, fans of the sport, other players, other coaches in the area, everybody who reads our site. I just want to get something out there to kind of focus on the recruiting aspect and kind of recognize players who are bringing in some offers, especially in this slower time where we don't have as much basketball to play.
Great. I think the only other thing I was going to add on top of that before we're done for the day is obviously we have gone through class 2021, 2022, and 2023. So we are kind of done with this portion of what we're going to be doing. So as we move on to the video number 4 next weekend, we're just going to be doing one a week now on Saturdays. Jacob and I have some ideas of what we're going to be doing going forward, but I'm not going to mention any of those. I'm going to leave that open for you guys to provide your feedback. You guys should know how to reach us, as Jacob just gave his contact information. Mine is also very simple, at Don_Halling on Twitter, and my email is don_Halling@yahoo.com, and it's on my Twitter bio. If you forget it, reach out to us and tell us about what you'd like to see in this vlog/podcast. I posted some information about that about a month or two ago when I was talking about it, and got some ideas. But now that it's been out and we've been talking, and our life is a little bit different now with the COVID, I'd like to, both of us would like to hear what you guys have in mind and what you'd like to see. So without any further ado, I believe that we are done for the day. This should be hopefully posted by about 6:30. In addition, or excuse me, by about 12:30. In addition, you should see some information in there where I'm going to try to put what sections of this start at what times of the video, so you can easily find it. So with that, Jacob, thank you for another fun day, and we will see everyone soon.
Thanks, everybody.